Hello class, I welcome you all to this business studies session. This session we are going to discuss chapter 2, principles of management. So principles of management is basically divided into two categories. Number 1, Fayol's principle of management, F.W. Taylor scientific management. Now, Fayol's principles of management is prior to F.W. Taylor's scientific management. So, this is the primary. Okay, this came first, and after that only it came. Now, who gave this? It is Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol is a person who behind Fayol's principles of management. He is the father of management thought. Okay, so this is a famous 1-mark question in your exam. So he is the father of management thought. If you come this side, F.W. Taylor, he is the father of scientific management. Now contributions, what is the contribution of Henry Fayol? He has given the 14 management principle that we are going to study now. So 14 management principles. What has F.W. Taylor has given? Techniques and scientific studies in bringing efficiency of workers and optimum utilization of machines and other resources. So efficiency and optimum utilization of resources. So these are the key words. Okay, so generally when I'm talking principles of management, we know how management evolved, why management is important. We know about all those things. There are some guidelines that is being given by Fayol, as well as some scientific method that is being given. You know that previously when this industrial revolution happened, it was back in the 1920s, 1930s and all. What happened was there was a mass scale of mass production that was going on. People were bringing in economies of scale. You know what is economies of scale? It is a mass production where by which you optimize the resources, you minimize the cost and you maximize the production. Okay, so these two principles was helping to achieve efficiency, okay, and effectiveness. Now Fayol principle is more of a guidelines. You can see here that Fayol's principle of management, 14 principles of management, it is like a guidelines. It will not say you have this problem, you've applied this principle. It will not say like that. You have to apply a combination of principles to solve a particular problem. But Taylor's approach is totally different. You have a particular problem, I'll give you a scientific approach to solve it. That's what Taylor has told. So in this lesson we will be focusing only on Henry Fayol's principles of management, because this is very 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 important for your exam. Very important question. A lot of 1-mark as well as a detailed answers have been asked in your past board questions for exam papers. Okay, so principles of management. First one is the division of work and specialization. So what do you mean by division of work? You divide a particular work into a small chunk and give it to some, allot to some people. Okay, so it's like one big task, you're dividing it to small tasks, and each task you're giving to one people. It's like that. So division of work will lead to specialization. The effect will be efficient and effective output. The output will be effective and efficient if the specialized people are being given this particular job. You know, repeatedly you do something, you become an expert in that. Okay, so it's like you divide the work, you give to a specialized person, repeatedly he will start doing the task within a matter of seconds, or he will start finishing it in a small span of time rather than giving it to a fresh hand. Okay, so this is applicable for all the departments. See, that's why the department has evolved. Specialization, digital marketers, finance department, marketing department, production department, HR department, technical support, each one are specialized in their own fields. They will not, though their works are interrelated, but their specialization is being highlighted. Marketing concentrates on marketing, digital marketing is concentrating on social marketing, the social media that's there, and the platforms that is there. So it's concentrating. Finance is concentrating on how to maximize the wealth of the shareholders. All these things are HR department is concentrating on the building up the human resource of the organization and maintenance of human resource. Production is how do I produce a particular product at the cheapest possible price, and get the raw materials at the cheapest possible price and sell it at a higher cost. So marketing department will be like collaborating with production department. Technical support is very important. Without technical support, the entire team will collapse. So all these things are work of the organization. If you check, it is a huge work. Each work is divided and given to a specific persons. Then authority and responsibility. Now anything that you do, any organization, if there is no authority, then work will not be done properly. There should be someone called as authority, and he should be given the proper responsibility. Okay, authority goes hand in hand with responsibility. Now what is authority? Right to give order and obtain obedience. Right to give order, and what is this right? Right to give order. He has a right to give orders to others and obtain obedience. Responsibility means obligation to perform the job assigned on time. See, it is an obligation. You have to do it. Some jobs you need to do it, means you need to do it. That is responsibility. Okay, you cannot say that I will not do, I'll do it later. All these nonsense you cannot give. So right to give order is again divided into two authorities. Authority is again divided into two authorities: official authority and personal authority. See, many organizations, official authority will go hand in hand with personal authority. See, when a manager is being liked by his subordinates, whatever the manager says, they will do it in a smiling face. Okay, they will immediately obey and do, because the manager will have some personal touch over the employees. That is the reason. If you only formal and personal things he ignores, then everyone will be like acting in front of him. They will be like okay, we will be doing this task, but at the back what they will do, the work will not be going on. Okay, so it's like official authority is a formal authority and personal authority is an informal authority, but you have to apply both this treatment to obtain proper work from people. So authority and responsibility go hand in hand. Without authority, if you give responsibility, it will not work. Without responsibility, if there is any authority, it will not work. So it will have to be going hand in hand. Okay, so the next one is discipline, the obedience to organizational rules and employment agreement. See, discipline is something which is very very essential for any organization. That is, it has certain rules, it has certain agreement with the employees, and all employees should follow that. If they do not follow, obviously they do not, the organization will not grow at the long run. So you should have good superiors at all levels, and clear and fair agreement, and judicious applicability of penalties if there is any default. Okay, so that is all about discipline. Can you look at this unity of command? Unity of command. Imagine there is a situation here. There is a salesperson. Okay, he wants to give a discount to a customer for rupees 2500. Okay, a customer is purchasing, purchase value is say rupees 15,000. If the purchases is 15,000, he can give discount of 2,500. Okay, so as per the thing. But what does the finance manager say? No, you don't give 2,500, you have to give only 1,500. Now what marketing manager says, you have to give 2,500. Now there is a clash between the marketing manager and the finance manager. Ultimately, who is affected here? The salesperson and the customer is affected, because salesperson is really very confused. Which order I should follow? I should follow marketing managers say, or finance managers say. I do not know. So he is confused, and the business activity is getting affected because of this confusion. So there should be unity of command. If both the people say that it is 1,500, he can very well apply 1,500 discount. He can very well clear cut say to the customer, no, only 1,500 discount can be given. More than that, it cannot be given. But if one say like this and another say in another way, then he doesn't know which one to obey. Okay, so each employee should receive order or command from only one superior. Only one superior he has to receive order from. The next one is unity of direction. Now unity of direction is very, very important. See, can you see this diagram? These are all the employees of the organization. They are all focused. They are drawing their entire energy towards the goal of the organization. Okay, so this focus is leading them, giving them the direction to reach the goal. So ultimately, what does it mean? One head and one plan. Okay, so all units of an organization should be moving towards the same direction to attain the objectives. Suppose, for example, some employees are not working. What happens is that they will not be able to reach the goal within the particular time. It will take a longer time to reach the goal. Ultimately, the competitors will reach the goal before you. Obviously, the business may be losing its importance. Okay, so that is one thing. So there is an important question, difference between unity of command as well as unity of direction. You have this. So meaning, what is the unity of command? Subordinate should receive order from one superior. One superior is important. Here there should be one head and one plan. Not different plans. One people following different plans will not work. So you should have direction towards the goal. Aim is to prevent dual subordination. So dual subordination means two people telling two different things to one particular subordinate. That should not be there. And prevents overlapping. See, this cannot be overlapped. If it is overlapped, what will happen? Obviously there is some distractions and you will not be able to reach the goal at a appropriate time. So it should prevent overlapping. The implication is affects on an individual. The unity of command, it affects the individual, indirectly affects the organization. Unity of direction will ultimately affect the whole organization. It will affect. This is a very major problem with the organization. The next one is subordination of individual interest to general interest. See, any organization, it is filled with people only. People will have different aim, okay, different objectives, but there should be some sync between the aim of the individual employee and the aim of the company interest. Okay, if there is no sync, obviously it will adversely affect the organization. So there should be some sync. So that's why they have given Henry Fayol has given that subordination of individual interest to general interest. See, it's been written 50 to 60 or even 70 to 100 years back. So subordination of individual interest. Now the thing has changed, like organizations are helping its employees to achieve more, so that through the achievement of the employees, the organization is able to grow. Okay, but at that time you have to suppress your interest to the management's interest was the trend. But now the trend is slightly changed, but the principle is the same. Okay, the principle should be you need to subordinate individual interest, employees interest, if it comes to the organization's interest. So organization interest will be given priority. The next one is the remuneration of employees. It should be equitable. That is, it should be providing maximum satisfaction to the employees as well as the organization. Okay, equitable, so that there is a smooth flow of work. Okay, it should not be like if one industry is paying more than the other, one company in the same industry, suppose in the same industry A company pays 40 or 45,000 to a particular entry level person, B company pays 50 to 55,000. Obviously there is an inequality between this. Okay, it should not happen. So remuneration of employee should be equitable. Okay, it should be maximum to maximize the satisfaction of the employees as well as the organization to for the smooth function of work. The next one is centralization and decentralization. Now centralization means the authority is on the top. Decentralization means the authority flows towards the subordinates. You can see the hierarchy here. Imagine that he is a CEO of the organization. Then there are two managers, managing directors. Under that there is departmental managers, branch managers. Under them there are some workers. So what happens is that when in centralization, everyone should ask the top person, then only execute things. Everyone should, for everything they have to get permission from the top person. Under decentralization, the authority of the top person is being centralized. Up to a certain limit, they can ask only the manager here, that is the divisional manager here, or up to certain level only branch manager should be asked. No need to travel upwards direction. So the authority is being decentralized to the downward level. So for small organizations, centralization will apply. Why it is effective? Because small organization there are less number of employees. If the anything and everything, the person whoever is the owner of the concern should know what's happening in the concern. So for small organization, centralization may be okay, but for big organizations, centralization will not work. That's why the MNCs, so many MNCs are here. You cannot for everything ask in the head office. Okay, it will be like 2 to 3 days to take any decisions. By then there will be some some competitive advantage will be lost by the company. So obviously that is not feasible for big organization. It should be decentralized. Small organization should be centralized. So it increases superior's role, it increases the subordinates role. Subordinates role is more here. Then in practice, in practical approach, this is the centralization cannot be applied 100%, decentralization cannot be applied 100%. There should be some balance between both the approach. So centralization for setting up goals, plans, policies and strategies, decentralizations for routine work, purchase of raw materials and daily tasks. So all these things should be kept in mind. Then the difference between centralization and decentralization is an important question. They may be asking in 3 marks or so. So centralization is concentration of decision making authority. So concentration on the decision making, that is of the decision making authority. Here decentralization is authority, it is delegation of authority. The authority comes down. Centralization, the authority is on the top. So the decision making authority is the top management, as I told you, and pushed down to the chain of management. Under decentralization it is pushed down. Then suitability is for small organization and large organization. We have seen this in the previous explanation also. Scalar chain is the 9th principle. It is a formal line of authority from highest to the lowest rank, which is called as scalar chain. Okay, so now just see this diagram. A is the topmost executive, B, L, C, M, D, N, E, O. So A, B, C, D, E varaikkum inga irukku. So L, M, N, O is this side. Okay, so when E wants to communicate O, when E wants to communicate to O, they are all in the same level of hierarchy. In the scalar chain, according to the scalar chain principle, E has to tell D, D has to tell C, B, A, L, M, N, O. Then only O will get the information. If they are going to go like this or any other deviation, it should not be done. So according to the scalar chain principle, this should not be done. But at the time of emergency, gangplank can be performed. What is gangplank? Directly E can communicate O over this platform here, okay, the communication line. So this is just a diagrammatical thing. According to his principle, Henry Fayol principle, scalar chain means if the persons who are in the same level of authority wants to communicate formally, okay, formula they want to communicate now, they have to go according to the hierarchy only. They cannot have any informal communication doing any formal business. With formal business they have to go like this. If there is any emergency, they can perform gangplank. What is gangplank? At the time of emergency, the persons who are in the same hierarchy doing formal communication, they can use this direct communication link. But this principle, practically, it is not applicable, because obviously this will be happening this way only. But in many organizations, I have seen that formal communication is being practiced like Bible, like they will practice it like some rules and regulations. Otherwise some penalty or penalization will happen, so employees will be following the formal chain of communication. That is called as scalar chain. The 10th is the order, place for everything and everyone. That is this is a very important. Order means what? Suppose for example, I'm just taking few pens, I'm just putting it like this, something like this. What does it mean? Is it in order? No, it is not in order. So I'm just keeping this pen here, okay. This is just a refill, okay. So I'll just keep pens alone, refill somewhere, then it is called as an order. So it's an order. Everything, pen has a place, refill has a different place. So similarly for organization, each person as well as the thing that is there in the organization should be in its respective places. One should not overlap the other, okay. So it's very important. People and managements must be in suitable places at appropriate time for maximum efficiency. This is what Henry Fayol has told, okay. Then 11th one is equity. Employees should be treated fairly as possible. No partiality should be given. That's what equity means. 12th one is stability of personnel. Stability of personnel is giving reasonable time for employees to show results. You cannot employ a person yesterday and expect results from him tomorrow itself. You have to give at least a month time for him to understand his role, perform, okay. Without performance he cannot show his personal results to you, results to the organization, okay. That's why you have this training and internship and all these programs that is being conducted by the organization. So stability of persons, stability of tenure, the time limit you have to give the employees. Then initiative is employees participation in the management. Initiative encouraged means there will be some room for innovation. If the innovation is there, means the business can grow. If the innovation is there, means the business can grow, okay. So initiative should be appreciated. So employees should be encouraged to participate in the management of the organization, the decision making of the organization at up to a certain level, okay. Esprit de corps, the last principle is esprit de corps, unity in strength. What is unity in strength? That is bringing harmony in the workplace. The I concept should be eliminated. We should think like we are a team. It should be like team spirit, so that coordination and cooperation is obtained. So these are the 14 principles of Henry Fayol. Very important question for your board exam. Many times this question is being repeated, not only for 8 marks, not only for 6 marks, maybe for one word answers also, okay. So make sure that you learn it. Thank you, class.